Imagine a land where ancient empires clashed, where the Silk Route carried spices and stories, and where diverse cultures intertwined for millennia. This is the Indian subcontinent, a land of vibrant colours, rich traditions, and a history as complex as it is captivating. From this melting pot of civilizations, a new nation emerged in the 20th century, Pakistan. The birth of Pakistan was a tumultuous struggle, a story etched in the pain of partition and the triumph of independence. Join us as we delve into the heart of this historical turning point, exploring the complexities, sacrifices, and enduring legacy of the partition. The birth of Pakistan was not merely a change on the map, it was a seismic shift in the lives of millions. Imagine families torn apart, forced to choose between their homes and their faith, embarking on perilous journeys across newly drawn borders. The partition, while marking independence, also unleashed a wave of unimaginable suffering. Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs, once neighbours and friends, found themselves on opposing sides of a hastily drawn divide. Amidst the chaos and carnage, there was also resilience, courage and the unwavering spirit of a people determined to build a future for themselves in their newly independent nations. As the 19th century dawned, the British Empire cast its long shadow over India. What began as a modest trading outpost for the British East India Company morphed into a vast colonial enterprise. This was the era of the British Raj, a period of profound transformation that would irrevocably alter the destiny of India and plant the seeds for Pakistan's emergence. The British, with their superior military technology and shrewd political manoeuvring, established a firm grip on the subcontinent. Raw materials flowed out, fueling the engines of the Industrial Revolution back home, while manufactured goods flooded Indian markets. Beneath the veneer of progress and modernization, a deep undercurrent of resentment against British rule was brewing. While the British took pride in their role as modernizers, their rule in India was marked by a fundamental contradiction: the denial of basic human rights and political freedoms. The Indian Rebellion of 1857, often referred to as the Sepoy Mutiny, was a watershed moment in the struggle against colonial rule. Though sparked by a seemingly minor issue, the rebellion quickly spread, fueled by deep-seated grievances against British policies. The aftermath saw a hardening of British attitudes, shifting to a more direct and often oppressive form of colonial governance. In the wake of the uprising, a new generation of Indian leaders emerged, determined to chart a different course for their nation's destiny. As the Indian nationalist movement gained momentum, communal tensions between Hindus and Muslims emerged. The British, often accused of employing a divide and rule policy, had long exploited religious and cultural differences to maintain their grip on power. They introduced separate electorates for Hindus and Muslims, exacerbating existing divisions. The All India Muslim League, founded in 1906, sought to safeguard the interests of Indian Muslims. This vision, heavily influenced by the two-nation theory, ultimately led to the demand for a separate Muslim state, Pakistan. As the 20th century dawned, a sense of unease settled upon India's Muslim community. The All India Muslim League, founded in Dhaka in 1906, emerged from a confluence of factors. Educated Muslims, influenced by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, saw the need for a political platform to safeguard their community's interests. The League's early years focused on securing greater representation for Muslims within the existing political framework. However, the relationship between the Muslim League and the Indian National Congress grew increasingly strained over time. This fundamental difference in vision would have far-reaching consequences, ultimately shaping the destiny of the subcontinent. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a lawyer by training and a visionary leader by destiny, was a pivotal figure. Initially a proponent of Hindu-Muslim unity, Jinnah's disillusionment with Congress politics led him to embrace the idea of a separate Muslim homeland, Pakistan. Jinnah joined the Muslim League in 1913 and quickly rose through its ranks. The turning point came in the 1930s when the idea of a separate Muslim state gained traction within the Muslim League. Jinnah's articulation of the two-nation theory transformed the Muslim League into a mass movement. The demand for Pakistan became a roar that echoed across the subcontinent, setting the stage for a momentous clash of wills. The two-nation theory, espoused by Jinnah and embraced by the Muslim League, became the ideological bedrock of the movement for Pakistan. It posited that Hindus and Muslims were fundamentally different nations, each with their own distinct culture, language, and social order. This theory became the driving force behind the demand for a separate Muslim state. The two-nation theory resonated deeply with many Muslims, particularly after the 1937 provincial elections. The clash between these two opposing visions set in motion a chain of events that would culminate in one of the most tumultuous chapters in human history. As World War II raged, the fate of India hung in the balance. The Indian National Congress demanded immediate independence as a precondition for supporting the British war effort. The Muslim League, under Jinnah's leadership, supported the British, seeing it as a strategic move for post-war negotiations. This decision propelled the demand for Pakistan to the center stage of the independence struggle. The war years were a period of intense political maneuvering and escalating communal tensions. The stage was set for a high-stakes game of political chess, with the fate of millions hanging in the balance. As World War II ended, the clamour for Indian independence reached a fever pitch. The British Labour government sent a cabinet mission to broker a power-sharing agreement between Congress and the Muslim League. The mission aimed to keep India united while addressing the League's demand for autonomy. It was a daunting task, fraught with complexities and suspicions. The cabinet mission plan proposed a federal structure with greater autonomy for provinces. Provinces were grouped into clusters, with significant control for Muslim-majority areas. For a moment, it seemed like a breakthrough, a glimmer of hope for a united India. The Congress Party agreed to the proposal, seeing it as a path to independence. Jinnah and the Muslim League were more circumspect. The plan fell short of their demand for a fully independent Pakistan. They feared the weak central government would leave them vulnerable. The initial optimism proved short-lived as mistrust deepened. The fragile consensus unraveled, leading to chaos and violence. The failure of the cabinet mission plan marked a turning point in the struggle for Indian independence, pushing the subcontinent closer to partition. Jinnah called for a direct action day on August 16, 1946. What began as peaceful protests spiraled into violence and bloodshed. Homes were looted, places of worship desecrated, and many were killed. The violence spread, leaving a trail of death and destruction. The British decided to partition India, a last-ditch attempt to avert civil war. The partition brought an end to colonial rule, but at a devastating human cost. Under the shadow of impending independence, the Indian subcontinent would be divided. Tasked with demarcating new borders, Sir Cyril Radcliffe arrived in India. He had just 5 weeks to redraw the map of a land where communities had coexisted for centuries. The partition plan, announced in June 1947, created India and Pakistan. Punjab, Bengal and Assam were split, forming West and East Pakistan. The Radcliffe Line was more than a map. It ruptured society. Villages were cleaved, families divided, and ancient ties torn. What was to become of those on the wrong side of the divide? As the sun set on the British Empire, casting long shadows across a land on the cusp of freedom, one of the largest mass migrations in human history commenced. Millions of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs, uprooted from their ancestral homes by the stroke of a pen, embarked on perilous journeys across newly drawn borders, seeking refuge and a future uncertain. Driven by a potent mix of hope and fear, entire communities were set in motion. Foot columns stretched for miles, carrying with them meagre belongings and the heavy weight of loss and displacement. Bullock carts creaked under the weight of household goods, while overcrowded trains, often targeted by mobs, became both lifelines and death traps. The journey was fraught with danger, marked by hunger, disease, and the constant threat of violence. Amidst the chaos and carnage, stories of extraordinary courage and resilience emerged. Ordinary people, their lives upended, displayed remarkable acts of kindness and selflessness, sharing their dwindling resources and offering shelter to those in need. Strangers became saviors, offering a helping hand across religious and cultural divides. But for every act of compassion, there were countless tales of unimaginable brutality. The partition triggered a wave of communal violence, the likes of which the subcontinent had never witnessed. Mobs, fueled by religious hatred and incited by opportunistic politicians, roamed the countryside, targeting innocent people based solely on their faith. Massacres, sexual assaults, and abductions became commonplace, leaving indelible scars on the collective memory of a nation born out of division. The birth of Pakistan, while marking the fulfillment of a long-cherished dream for a separate Muslim homeland, came at a staggering human cost. The partition, etched in the blood and tears of millions, left an enduring legacy of pain, displacement, and mistrust that continues to cast a long shadow over the subcontinent. The official death toll from the partition violence is estimated to be between 200,000 and 2 million, though the true number may never be known. Millions more were displaced, their lives shattered, their futures uncertain. The trauma of partition, passed down through generations, became an integral part of the shared history of India and Pakistan, a stark reminder of the human cost of division and the fragility of peace. The partition also had profound geopolitical implications. The hasty division of Punjab and Bengal, without regard for historical and economic ties, created a host of problems, including disputes over water resources, the status of Kashmir, and the mass displacement of populations. The two newly independent nations, born out of a shared struggle against colonial rule, found themselves locked in a cycle of mistrust, suspicion, and conflict that continues to this day. As the dust settled on the tumultuous events of 1947, the newly born nation of Pakistan faced daunting challenges. The euphoria of independence was tempered by the sobering realities of partition, a shattered economy, a massive refugee crisis, and a divided nation. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainty, a precarious path strewn with the debris of a tumultuous past. One of the most pressing challenges was the sheer scale of human displacement. Millions of Muslim refugees poured into the newly created nation, seeking safety and a new beginning. These refugees placed an immense strain on Pakistan's limited resources. Adding to the complexity was the geographical division of Pakistan. The new nation was cleaved in two, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, separated by over 1,000 miles. Separated by both distance and culture, the two wings faced an uphill battle in forging national unity. At the helm of this fledgling nation stood Muhammad Ali Jinnah. A figure of towering intellect and unwavering determination, Jinnah led the Muslim League to victory in the struggle for Pakistan's creation. Now, faced with the monumental task of building a nation, he needed all his political acumen and resolve. Jinnah's vision was clear, a modern, democratic state where Muslims could live in peace and security. He envisioned a nation founded on justice, equality, and tolerance. In his first address to the Constituent Assembly, Jinnah declared, "You are free to go to your temples, mosques, or any place of worship. You may belong to any religion or caste. That has nothing to do with the business of the state." Despite his failing health, Jinnah threw himself into the task of nation building. He worked tirelessly to establish a functioning government and provide relief to millions of refugees. He sought peaceful coexistence and cooperation with Pakistan's neighbours. However, Jinnah's vision for a tolerant Pakistan faced an uphill battle. The scars of partition ran deep, and the country was reeling from communal violence and displacement. The influx of refugees added to the complexity of forging a unified national identity. Moreover, the unresolved issue of Kashmir cast a dark shadow over Pakistan's relations with India. The creation of Pakistan was the beginning of an ongoing journey for national identity, economic prosperity, and social justice. The refugee crisis, geographical divide, and scars of partition continue to shape Pakistan's trajectory. The legacy of partition serves as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. Lessons from that period, tolerance, dialogue, and the dangers of nationalism remain relevant today. The shared history of India and Pakistan calls for renewed commitment to peaceful coexistence. Pakistan's birth is a testament to the power of self-determination. Pakistan's journey continues, carrying the dreams and aspirations of millions. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new here.